there is a country hidden in the middle of the Gulf of Guinea. So small, that many people have never even seen it on a map. A place where lush rainforests meet black volcanic cliffs. Where sea turtles return to the same beaches every year. Where cocoa plantations have shaped history for centuries. And where two tiny islands hide some of Africa's richest biodiversity. This is not the Caribbean. It is not the Maldives. It is not the Seychelles. This is Sao Tome and Príncipe. At first glance, these islands look like a tropical paradise. Dense emerald forests cover ancient volcanic mountains. Waterfalls disappear into untouched jungles. Golden beaches stretch beside the Atlantic Ocean. Life moves slowly, quietly, almost as if the modern world has forgotten this place. But beneath this peaceful beauty lies an extraordinary story. A story of volcanic islands that rose from the ocean millions of years ago. A story of Portuguese explorers, cocoa plantations, and the struggle for independence. A story of rare animals found nowhere else on Earth. And a nation that is proving that protecting nature may be its greatest treasure. Today, Sao Tome and Príncipe is Africa's second smallest country by land area, covering just under 1,000 square kilometers, with a population of around 245,000 people in 2026. Despite its size, more than half of its land remains covered by forests, making it one of Africa's greenest nations. In this documentary, we'll explore ancient volcanoes, walk through rainforests filled with unique wildlife, visit historic cocoa plantations, discover hidden beaches, and uncover how two tiny islands became one of Africa's best-kept secrets. Because sometimes, the world's greatest stories are hidden in the places almost nobody visits. Welcome to Sao Tome and Príncipe. After hours of flying across the Atlantic Ocean, the first thing you notice is not a city or a skyline. It is a mountain, a giant volcanic peak rising from the middle of the ocean, surrounded by dense emerald forests and deep blue water. This is Sao Tome. Located in the Gulf of Guinea, just north of the equator, Sao Tome and Príncipe is one of Africa's smallest nations. Yet, despite its size, it is one of the continent's most extraordinary natural treasures. The country consists of two main islands, Sao Tome and Príncipe, and several smaller islets scattered across the Atlantic. Together, they cover less than 1,000 square kilometers, making the entire nation smaller than many cities around the world. The larger island, Sao Tome, is home to the capital city, also called Sao Tome, where most of the country's population, businesses, and government institutions are located. To the northeast lies the smaller island of Príncipe, quieter, less populated, and almost completely surrounded by untouched nature. Many travelers describe it as one of the last truly unspoiled tropical islands on Earth. Both islands were created by volcanic eruptions millions of years ago. That volcanic origin shaped everything you see today. Steep mountains, black volcanic rocks, crystal clear rivers, hidden waterfalls, and fertile soil that supports some of the richest rainforests in Africa. One of the country's most famous landmarks is Pico Cao Grande. Rising dramatically nearly 370 meters straight into the sky, this giant volcanic plug looks almost impossible. Wrapped in clouds and surrounded by rainforest, it has become the symbol of Sao Tome and Príncipe. The islands enjoy a warm tropical climate throughout the year. Temperatures usually remain between 24 and 30 degrees Celsius. Heavy tropical rains feed the forests, while the surrounding Atlantic Ocean brings fresh sea breezes that shape life on the islands. In 2012, much of Príncipe Island and its surrounding waters were recognized by UNESCO as the Príncipe Biosphere Reserve, highlighting the island's unique ecosystems and exceptional biodiversity. Here, nature is still in control. And every mountain, every forest, every coastline, tells the story of a land born from fire and shaped by the ocean. Long before European ships crossed the Atlantic, these islands were different from almost every other African nation. They had no kingdoms, no cities, no villages, no permanent inhabitants. For thousands of years, Sao Tome and Príncipe remained untouched, covered only by dense rainforests, volcanic mountains, and the sounds of nature. Then, in the late 15th century, everything changed. Portuguese explorers sailing along the west coast of Africa reached these isolated islands. According to historical records, Sao Tome was discovered around 1470, while Príncipe was discovered shortly afterward. Because the islands were uninhabited, Portugal quickly claimed them. Settlers arrived from Europe. Soon after, enslaved Africans were brought from the mainland to work on newly established plantations. What had once been a silent volcanic paradise became one of Portugal's most valuable colonies. At first, sugar was the main crop. But by the 19th century, cocoa and coffee transformed the islands forever. The fertile volcanic soil and tropical climate created ideal conditions for agriculture. By the early 1900s, Sao Tome and Príncipe had become one of the world's largest cocoa producers. Chocolate made from these islands reached markets across Europe. Behind this success, however, was a painful reality. Thousands of African laborers worked under extremely harsh conditions. Many historians have described the plantation system as a form of forced labor that continued long after slavery was officially abolished. As the years passed, calls for freedom grew stronger. Across Africa, independence movements were gaining momentum. The people of Sao Tome and Príncipe also dreamed of governing their own future. That dream finally became reality on July 12, 1975, when the country officially gained independence from Portugal. For the first time in history, these islands became a free and sovereign nation. Today, traces of the colonial era can still be seen. Old plantation houses, stone churches, historic railways, and abandoned cocoa estates hidden beneath tropical forests. They are silent reminders of a complex past. A past that shaped the nation, but never defined its future. If history tells the story of Sao Tome and Príncipe, then its rainforests tell the story of life itself. The moment you step away from the coast, the landscape changes completely. The warm sea breeze gives way to cool mountain air. Narrow paths disappear beneath towering trees. Sunlight struggles to reach the forest floor. The only sounds are flowing rivers, birdsong, and the gentle rhythm of the rainforest. More than half of the country is still covered by forests, making Sao Tome and Príncipe one of the greenest nations in Africa. At the heart of this wilderness lies Obo Natural Park. Stretching across large parts of both main islands, this protected rainforest is one of the most biologically important places in the Gulf of Guinea. Scientists consider these islands a living laboratory of evolution, because they were isolated in the Atlantic Ocean for millions of years. Many plants and animals evolved here, and nowhere else on Earth. More than 30 bird species are found only in Sao Tome and Príncipe. Among them are the rare Sao Tome grosbeak, one of the world's rarest birds, and the colorful Sao Tome oriole, whose calls echo through the forest canopy. The islands are also home to unique frogs, reptiles, insects, orchids, giant ferns, and hundreds of tropical plant species found nowhere else. Every step into the forest reveals something extraordinary. Hidden waterfalls tumble down volcanic cliffs. Crystal clear streams wind through ancient trees. Colorful butterflies drift silently through shafts of sunlight. And above the clouds rises the country's most iconic natural landmark, Pico Cao Grande. This dramatic volcanic tower rises nearly 370 meters straight into the sky. Wrapped in mist for much of the year, it looks almost unreal. For climbers, it is one of the most challenging volcanic rock formations in the world. For photographers, it is a dream, but perhaps the greatest treasure of Sao Tome and Príncipe is not one mountain or one waterfall. It is the balance between people and nature. Unlike many tropical destinations, vast areas of these islands remain untouched. There are no endless highways cutting through the rainforest. No massive resorts covering every beach. Here, nature still sets the rules. And visitors are simply guests in one of Africa's last truly wild island ecosystems. For the people of Sao Tome and Príncipe, the Atlantic Ocean is more than a coastline. It is their history, their livelihood, and the heartbeat of the nation. As your boat leaves the harbor, the deep blue waters of the Gulf of Guinea stretch endlessly toward the horizon. Beneath the surface, an extraordinary world begins to appear. Colorful coral communities, volcanic reefs, and tropical fish create a vibrant underwater ecosystem. Schools of barracuda move together like silver arrows. Parrotfish feed on the rocky reefs. Moray eels hide between volcanic rocks, waiting patiently for nightfall. But the true giants of these waters arrive from much farther away. Every year, between July and October, migrating humpback whales pass through the waters of Sao Tome and Príncipe. After traveling thousands of kilometers across the Atlantic, they enter these warm tropical seas to breed and raise their young. Seeing a humpback whale rise from the ocean, sending a column of water high into the air before crashing back beneath the waves, is one of the most unforgettable sights these islands can offer. Dolphins are also frequent visitors. Spinner dolphins and bottlenose dolphins often swim beside boats, sometimes leaping above the waves as if welcoming travelers to the islands. Yet perhaps the most famous visitors arrive quietly, under the cover of darkness. Every year, several species of sea turtles, including the green turtle, hawksbill turtle, leatherback turtle, and olive ridley turtle, return to the beaches where they were born. Late at night, females slowly climb onto the sand to lay their eggs. Weeks later, tiny hatchlings emerge from their nests and begin one of the most dangerous journeys in nature. Guided only by the moonlight reflecting on the ocean, they race toward the sea. Only a small number survive, but those that do may one day return to these very same beaches. To protect this incredible cycle of life, local communities, scientists, and conservation organizations work together to safeguard nesting beaches and reduce threats to marine wildlife. Because here, the ocean is not simply a place to admire, it is the source of life itself. To truly understand Sao Tome and Príncipe, you must look beyond its beaches and rainforests. The true spirit of these islands lives in its people. As the first rays of sunlight reach the Atlantic coast, fishing boats quietly leave the shore. The aroma of freshly baked bread drifts through the streets. Children in colorful school uniforms walk to class, greeting their neighbors with warm smiles. Life here moves at a different rhythm. There are no crowded highways, no towering skylines, no endless rush. Instead, people value time with family, community, and nature. Family is the heart of São Tomean society. Several generations often live close together, sharing meals, traditions, and responsibilities. Respect for elders remains deeply rooted, and many traditions are passed from grandparents to grandchildren through stories rather than books. The country is also known for its rich cultural diversity. Although Portuguese is the official language, many people also speak Foro, Angola, and Lung, i.e., Creole languages that developed over centuries by blending African and Portuguese influences. Music is everywhere. The sounds of Ushua, Sicope, and Puita echo through villages during festivals and celebrations. Colorful dances tell stories of the island's past, while drums and traditional instruments bring entire communities together. Food reflects the country's unique history. Fresh fish is served almost every day. Octopus, tuna, grilled reef fish, breadfruit, bananas, cassava, taro, and tropical fruits fill local markets. But no ingredient has shaped these islands more than cocoa. For generations, cocoa has been part of daily life. The volcanic soil produces beans known for their rich aroma and exceptional quality. Today, small farms continue to grow premium cocoa used by artisan chocolate makers around the world. Walking through an old cocoa plantation feels like traveling back in time. Colonial buildings stand quietly among towering trees. The scent of cocoa fills the warm tropical air. It is a reminder that the story of Sao Tome and Príncipe has always been connected to the land. Visitors quickly discover another unforgettable part of island life: the people. Hospitality is not simply a tradition here. It is a way of life. A smile, a conversation, or an invitation to share a meal can make even a stranger feel like family. Perhaps that is the greatest treasure these islands offer: not only breathtaking landscapes, but genuine human warmth. Although Sao Tome and Príncipe is one of Africa's smallest countries, its future may be far greater than its size suggests. For centuries, the islands were known as the Chocolate Islands. Cocoa was not simply an agricultural product. It became the foundation of the nation's economy. Even today, Sao Tome and Príncipe produces some of the world's highest quality cocoa. Unlike mass-produced cocoa grown on vast industrial plantations, much of the country's cocoa is cultivated on small farms using traditional methods. The result is a rich flavor that has earned international recognition among artisan chocolate makers. Coffee also remains an important export. Although produced in smaller quantities, coffee grown on the volcanic slopes of the islands is valued for its unique aroma and smooth taste. Fishing continues to support thousands of families. The waters of the Gulf of Guinea are rich in tuna and many other species, providing both food and income for coastal communities. In recent years, tourism has become one of the fastest growing sectors of the economy. Travelers come here searching for something that is becoming increasingly rare: authenticity. Instead of crowded beaches and giant resorts, they find quiet fishing villages, untouched rainforests, hidden waterfalls, volcanic peaks, and empty beaches where nature still feels untouched. Ecotourism has become the country's greatest opportunity. Protecting nature is no longer just an environmental goal, it is an economic strategy. Scientists also believe that offshore waters may contain oil and natural gas reserves. Although exploration has continued for years, large-scale production has not yet transformed the country's economy. For now, Sao Tome and Príncipe continues to focus on sustainable development rather than rapid industrialization. Like many island nations, however, the future is closely tied to climate change. Rising sea levels, stronger storms, and changing weather patterns threaten both coastal communities and fragile ecosystems. Yet despite these challenges, the country continues investing in education, renewable energy, marine conservation, and sustainable tourism. Perhaps the greatest strength of Sao Tome and Príncipe is not found beneath its soil, but within its people. A nation that understands its greatest wealth is not what it can take from nature, but what it can preserve for future generations. As the sun slowly disappears beyond the Atlantic horizon, a golden light settles over the islands. The waves gently roll onto quiet beaches. Palm trees sway with the ocean breeze. Fishing boats return home after another day at sea. Deep within the rainforest, the songs of rare birds echo through the trees. And somewhere along the coastline, a young sea turtle begins its first journey toward the ocean. Life continues, just as it has for thousands of years. At first glance, Sao Tome and Príncipe may seem like just another small island nation. A country hidden far from the world's busiest cities. A place that many people will never notice on a map. But its story has never been about size. It is the story of islands born from volcanoes. Of rainforests that protect life found nowhere else on Earth. Of cocoa plantations that shaped generations. And of a people who transformed a difficult past into a hopeful future. Here, nature is not an attraction. It is a way of life. The forests breathe. The ocean provides. The mountains stand as silent witnesses to millions of years of history. In a world where untouched places are becoming increasingly rare, Sao Tome and Príncipe reminds us that some treasures cannot be measured by wealth or population, or the size of a country. They are measured by the beauty that survives, the traditions that endure, and the people who choose to protect them. Perhaps that is the greatest lesson these islands have to offer. The future does not belong only to the biggest nations. Sometimes, it belongs to those who know how to live in harmony with nature. Because humanity does not own the earth, we are only its temporary guardians. And if we learn anything from Sao Tome and Príncipe, it is that even the smallest islands can leave the biggest memories. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If you enjoyed this documentary, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments, which country should we explore next? Until next time, keep exploring our extraordinary world.